before I forget, God has shown me that the hostages that were killed in Nigeria, the British and the Italian hostages, were killed because of America's lack of developing southern Nigeria and choosing the north instead. They say, you want to choose the enemies of God, then you shall perish with them. I also feel the rage of the Lord. And it is at all those who take innocent lives. The person who shot up the clinic and the clinic itself for pushing pills instead of the scripture of God. Thank you. Well, that was I didn't realize I was pushing my little thing around. But anyway, that was some kind of message from God that I got, and I just had to get it out while I still could. And it reminds me of the different temples. Like I talk about the Temple of Casa Embron, the Temple of Montu, the Temple of Taposiris, the Temple of Dakar, the Temple of Dush, the minor temples, the Red Chapel, the White Chapel, the minor deities, the Delta temples, the mortuary temples, the Ramseum, okay, St. Catharic's Church over the ancient temples of the Sinai. We talk about all these, Aswan, Lake Nasser. This is all important in the greater Nubia complex as well, beneath Egypt. And we talk about the empire, the greater empire of Egypt included Nubia, included Israel, and much of the Middle East, and Babylon at one point. And so did Babylon. It included Egypt and Israel. So what we see is that in order for us to get to heaven, we have to understand, the different temples like Artemidos, Bear. We have to understand the different degrees and the different, we'll call them scriptures. My last video didn't record. YouTube's giving me a hard time. I believe they don't want me to finish off my series. I asked them, okay, I'm following your rules. I just want to finish off my series, and then I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm using my freedom of speech, and I'm not threatening anybody. Again, I have disclaimers on my series. I know YouTube, part of the reason you took off my series is to get all my phone numbers, try to, figure out exactly who I am, what I'm doing, and what numbers I would use. And you also want to get rid of the annotations so you could further your, further justify your investigation, which is completely unconstitutional and unlawful, and it's a form of harassment and should be stopped immediately. Talking about the Temple of Abu Simbel and Luxor and Karnak and Bet, the Temple of Bet El Wali. And we're talking about the different, really, structures that were built. And you're talking about the skyscrapers of the, of the companies like Abbott off 101. And this is relevant too. I was going to go the whole 8 minutes like I did that one video, but seeing how YouTube's cracking down on me and giving me a hard time, I'm going to have to bring up a lot of people that fought in the Bible, that gave their lives, like Saul of Kish, Samson, Jesus of Nazareth, John the Baptist. There's a long list of people in the Bible who fought for God and gave their lives. The Israelites who were fighting, the kingdom of Judah who was fighting, and how people were leading them astray and forsaking their sacrifice, like Jezebel, and like really some of the greater people in the Bible. They tell the stories of them and how Josiah, had to be righteous, and they talk about his father, and they talk about people like Asa and the prophets saw, Edu the seer, Jehu the seer. We talk about a lot of these guys, right? And the purpose of this is to realize, the lost books that they're talking about, and the lost gospels as well. So remember, these Syrians were the enemies. At some point, the Amorites were the friends of Abraham, but later on the Jews fight with the Amorites, the Philistines as well. Former friends become enemies, and so it is in my life, and my former friends have become some of my enemies, and some of the enemies of the kingdom of Judah and the Igbo tribe as well.